More species of wildlife can be seen in Jamaica Bay than in the Adirondacks and Catskills. You know, you have this diversity of habitat. Even though you have the big urban area, you have the Atlantic Migratory Flyway, the Hudson River Flyway, you have the coastal peninsula here, you have a big estuary, you have a train in the background.
Jamaica Bay is the equivalent of 3 Central Parks, 3 Prospect Parks, and 3 Van Cortlandt Parks combined.
The more I learned about it, the more I realized we had something, a treasure here on the East Coast that was practically unheard of.
This is an urban park. This ain't Grand Canyon where, you know, you don't touch this, you can't walk on that and stuff like that.
But you can almost look at Jamaica Bay as a hand. And the bay is the palm of the hand. And the fingers are the creeks and inlets that stick up into Brooklyn and Queens. Over 800,000 people live within 2 miles of Jamaica Bay.
20-something thousand acres. 1/3 of all the bird species have been sighted here. The amount of fish, protected species. You look at it as a whole, it's massive.
The City Parks Department, the National Park Service, and others all have a major role in what happens in the land and in the water of Jamaica Bay. Love those sounds. That's why Jamaica Bay is great.
What we're looking for Gateway to be is a world-class national park in an urban area.
It's one of the toughest things to raise money for, especially since most of the money sits in Manhattan. And people just say to you, Gateway, what is it? Where is it?
It's hard to put your hands around. It's a lot of smaller wonders. You don't have that iconic image of the Grand Canyon or Grand Teton.
Jamaica Bay is still somewhat of an unfulfilled promise. We know that there are major problems that we need to understand better and we need to start to address.
When I first moved in, they said, oh, that's the dump over there.
Now we have an issue of abandoned boats and piers and docks.
We're right under JFK's poison circle.
We do have 3 inactive landfills, which may be leaching material into the bay.
You have the combined sewer overflow discharges, sewage treatment plants, and then runoff.
All the small clams, everything just dies right off.
It never dawned on us that somebody might want to build in the park on wetlands. There's a lot of flooding in the area. The more development, the less buffer.
Are you guys game for hopping? All right. The salt marshes of Jamaica Bay, the salt marshes of the Long Island Sound, are the last remnants, what used to be vast salt marshes.
Something was happening to the marshes of Jamaica Bay. They were disappearing.
These were the creeks that you would ride through as a kid in a boat, and some of them were no wider than the boat. And if there was 12 turns, now you went back and there was 9, the whole front portion of the marsh had disappeared.
The loss of marshes in Jamaica Bay is caused by excess of nitrogen coming out of the wastewater pollution plants. I gave them a challenge. I said, I challenge you to send a representative to me. We'll take them out in a boat, and I'll show them the things that I'm telling you here today. And if I'm wrong, fine. And they took one look and they said, oh my God.
And we have a dire emergency here. Well, we're losing 40 acres of marsh wetlands per year.
Well, those marshes protect the mainland. So any storm action, wave action will be attenuated by having a healthy marsh in front of you.
I'm going to have a for sale sign on my house within the next 2 years because otherwise, I'm going to be inundated here.
The kernel that starts many big environmental transformations are just people who live there, who want to use it.
Here you go, buddy. There's a certain calming effect, just the constant flow of the tides and the water. It's a very restful place to live.
The boats are up high, the docks are all secured. The last 2 days, this place has been a beehive of activity. This is a very unusual storm. Now the mayor finally has issued an evacuation, closed down the transit system, so that goes to show you the seriousness of what could happen here.
This much water that was Irene. So if this is worse than Irene, I might lose this, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Not too worried about it.
And hopefully when we look at this, this documentary, this film, some time from now, we'll look back and say, well, it was a lot of work, a lot of preparation, but it wasn't as bad as we hoped it to be. And I wish everybody good luck.
It's like gone. Everything's gone.
Worst storm, probably maybe in recorded history. The water here was, about 4 foot in the center of the mall, 30-foot boats coming across Causeway Boulevard.
Yeah, no, it's...
So, it's just a real disaster. It's massive. It's all over,
There were waves coming down the street. Looking out the windows, you could have been on the Mississippi.
When I hear people up on the boulevard screaming for help, and it's a horrible feeling, I've never seen anything like that.
Everything is gone.
How bad is everything?
The whole downstairs is totally trashed. I didn't expect it this bad. You can see the water level right here. So here's the mark. We're on the West Pond Trail, and what happened is the bay cut a big channel right into the West Pond. These people are going to be in for a surprise. They're going to have to walk all the way back around.
The way I look at it is, the bad news is you live on an island in the middle of Jamaica Bay, and you got, a huge hurricane came and you got hit hard. The good news is you live on an island in the middle of Jamaica Bay, and it's one of the greatest places in terms of what I see as a community coming together, and that's why I feel like we'll bounce back.
The challenge to restore this bay is daunting, really.
It's on the right track. It's taking too long. They don't have the means to keep going.
In the future, I vision a bay that will have, the water quality will be restored, the loss of habitat will be stopped, and we will catch up with the rebuilding of the habitat.
I'd love it to be like it is now and even better.
Well, we want people to see this as a recreational mecca, making it easy for people to get out here. You spend the day, rent a kayak, maybe you jump on a jitney boat that goes around the bay, and you stop off at the dock at Fort Tilden and have some fried clams, then go for a long walk that takes you all the way around Breezy Point, stay in a little cabin. And we have a lot of work to do, but New Yorkers will have a better life when there's a better Jamaica Bay.
Can the bay be saved is the big question. The time will tell.